right, so please welcome Christiane or Chris Drew presenting Yes You Can, Crush Your Fears, and Create the Life You Want. So all of us are here today to punch this week in the face and to, handle those goals. Some July announcements from Wonderful. Has everyone signed up for local meetups in their city yet? So if not, we're trying to get a bigger, more varied global hosting network going. And of course, there is, where you can stay with somebody or stay at somebody's Airbnb and offer a discount at your own Airbnb if you do have a property. However, one of the big things that we're trying to get folks to do is to sign up for a local meetup. So if one of the wonderful ladies is in your city, they can go to the meetup section of Mighty Networks and scroll on through, and you can just go grab a coffee with someone or go see a site in your city. Just a good way to get together. And the way to do that, actually, I think we got rid of topics now. So you can just go to the menu, go to global hosting, local meetups, and it tells you how to sign up for that. Also, we are opening more and more and more chapters in a bajillion cities, and it has been awesome. If you are interested in starting a chapter in your city and you don't have one, go to sheswonderful.com/chapters, and you can apply to be a chapter director. And I'm actually the DC chapter director. It is literally one event per month and one meeting per month. And you get 25% commissions on any new members that you bring in. So it's a good deal. Oh, and you get a free Wonderful membership. So can't miss events that are coming up. Tomorrow evening, Appropriation or Appreciation, How to Be Fashionably Responsible. We'll actually have an actual Hawaiian fashion designer who works with cultural arts in fashion as a craft, and we're going to be having a very interesting conversation around that. Tuesday, August 2nd, Unleashing Your Potential in the Global Job Search, How to Find Work Abroad. And of course, in October, the Women in Travel Summit in Gdansk. So sign up for that if you haven't yet. Wonderful is all about women supporting women. Each month, a portion of your membership goes to a different travel organization. This month's beneficiary is Rise Travel Institute. So visit them today, risetravelinstitute.org, or follow them on IG at Rise Travel Institute. Also, for every paid membership, a Wonderful scholarship goes to a woman in need. We just had a big roundup of scholarships issued. We do them on a rolling basis on June 30th. So welcome anyone who's new and has been a scholarship recipient that might be here today. And if you know anyone who might be interested in it, have them sign up for the 7-day free trial, and then they can apply for scholarship. sheswonderful.com/scholarships. However, do note the next application deadline is the beginning of December. So a little bit of a wait. And now about your presenter. Christiane Drew, or Chris Drew, is a certified life coach, certified holistic life coach, career and executive coach, certified NLP practitioner, member of the International Coaching Federation, ACC credentialed through ICF as well. So dang girl, you've been busy. And let's get social. You guys should know the Wonderful socials on Facebook at She's Wonderful. On Instagram at She's Wonderful as well. And please visit christianedrew.com, visit Chris's website, and follow her on Instagram at Christiane Drew Coaching. And of course, a big thank you to our brand partners, without whose support none of this would be possible. We appreciate you all, and note to you guys that many of these guys have discounts and different offers available in the community discount section of Mighty Networks in the menu. And now for our feature presentation, I am going to pass it off to Chris.
Hello, everybody, making sure I'm unmuted here. Thank you for the faces on the screen. I do like to see people. I'm a people's person. So I am also in my house with a little black dress, long dress, and I'm seeing some clouds here, and I hope that the sun will eventually come out. So I'm talking from Pennsylvania, USA. Yes, so let me put my presentation up, and this is all about you. You know, those things that we all feel, you're not alone. That every now and then there's a bit of a fear when we try to do something that's a little more daring and different, especially traveling. Every now and then we think of travel. There are people that I know that have never left their home country, their home city, their home state, even to go across the border. So I said I'm in Pennsylvania. I have a friend that for as we were talking about, she was telling me that she was afraid to go to New York by train to meet a friend there. So it's real. We all have it. And this is why we're here to kind of tackle this and figure out how to get over this kind of obstacle that we have so we can live happy lives the way we want it, whatever you want out of your life. So the idea is to crush your fears and create the life journeys you want. You will see a lot of pictures are my pictures, and they are from my travels. And it's a passion of mine to travel. It has been for a long time. So you're going to see as we're talking, I'm going to share a little bit of what I did. You're going to see the life coaching me, but you're also going to see where you can go. So first of all, I would like to invite you all just to think, what is your dream trip? Where is it that you would really like to go that you're not quite there yet? Something is holding you back. And I just want you to think about that because we're going to address several of those things. So Jordan already introduced me, so I'm not going to go over all that. But this is what I want to highlight, the about me fact. I've just come back like literally a week ago. Monday the 18th, from a 3-week trip. A little over 3 weeks. First 12 days were with my family on a cruise. And then the next 7 days was with my 13-year-old son. Yes, 13. So I've traveled with him before and he's a child. So we can talk a little about that too. And I was just the two of us. We explored the UK and England and Scotland, and then 6 days by myself. And it's amazing that when I say that, a lot of people are like, by yourself? Just you? You're going to travel by yourself? Yes. And I loved it. So I'm going to share some of the things that got me over the hump, or even as I start getting that kind of a fear of, can I really do this? What is going to happen? What can go wrong? So we're going to work on that. First things first, what is holding you back? So the first 6 things here, money, work, responsibility, time, or if you are not quite sure where you want to go or even how to get started, there's that sense of overwhelm. So this is the first part is you're going to learn how to plan a trip, figure out how to do that. And of course, work, money, responsibility. We're going to talk about planning a trip, but you can use that planning in all areas of life. Now, the first thing that we're going to talk about is when there's just that feeling that you don't know what it is. That feeling of, oh, every time I think of traveling, I have like this goosebumps, this funny feeling, and I don't know how to sort that out. So I want to do an exercise with you all right now, if that's okay. I want you to think of something. And it can be, let's just think of like if a friend, a very good friend, is crying and you see them crying. What thoughts come to your mind right now as you imagine your best friend crying? So how do you feel? So because there's a thought and there's a feeling. What is that feeling that comes up for you? Empathy, maybe? Feeling of anxiety. You want to know what's going on. You're trying to help. You're trying to figure it out. So suddenly you have all these thoughts. Oh, is it the family? Oh, did she lose her job? Oh, maybe it's her partner, or, what is she upset about? And then what do you feel like doing? Because then you have the thought, you have the feeling that comes up, and then you have an impulse that makes you want to act a certain way. So this is how our brain works. If you
Yeah.
have another thought,
For now. I'm gonna
your
have to redo it. It
your
was stupid
feeling,
fly.
your feeling or your impulse will be different. So for example, imagine that you got a promotion at work, or imagine that you just got, the client that you wanted, that you dreamed of. A lot of money is coming in. Feel what comes up. It's totally different from the first one, isn't it? Suddenly you're like, wow, I can't believe it. Oh my gosh, I landed the client of my dreams. The feeling, that exuberant, that excitement. And then what do you feel like doing? Then you feel like screaming. You feel like calling your best friend and sharing with her, So the feelings are different. They come with a thought. So I want to introduce you to your own mind. Our mind thinks on its own. And there is a purpose for it. The purpose comes from a long time ago. It's to protect us. So what happens is our mind thinks it's our bodyguard. It has always been. That's how we learn how to, deal with the world. Can't cross the street, got to be careful. When you're riding a bike, got to put your foot down because it hurts. So you might say, hey, go very slowly when you're riding a bike. Don't take off those training wheels because it's dangerous. You hurt, you scraped your knee over there. So it's your mind talking. And your mind still talks to you nowadays. And it's always trying to protect you. You usually think it's you talking to yourself. It's your mind. Your mind's doing the talking. And what does it do? Once it puts a thought into your head, into your mind, then you think it's real, and that comes the feeling. Sometimes you have the feeling first, and then the mind will throw the thought in there. And all the purpose, the reason is to protect you. But who is in control? At the end of the day, it is you. You are the one in control of what to do, how to act, how to respond to those thoughts and feelings. So we're going to tackle the fear of the unknown. The fear is a feeling. The thought that comes with the feeling is the thing that we have to think about. Right? Think of this. There is a fear that's really fear for your life. You're crossing a busy highway. That is so dangerous. There is a feeling that is a feeling of maybe getting to know a new town, a new city, a new country. And that is more of a bit of an excitement. We can't really distinguish the two fears, but we can work with our thoughts to make the fear be the excitement fear. Instead of thinking, this is a life and death situation, this can have an exciting outcome. So let's see how we do that. Okay, a little about me. So I'm talking about this and you're like, how do you know all this? Okay, I am a life coach, but there's more to it. I moved to the Netherlands with my family when I was 12. So lived in the little house. You see the pictures are old. This is me and my sister at Scheveningen, the pier that they have. So that was the first experience and introduction to the fear of traveling. And I was going to stay there for a while. So I had to learn how to deal with this and how to see it in different lenses so that I could cope with it and make the most of it. After that, I moved by myself when I was 25 to another state to work. So I moved abroad. I lived there for 3 years, went back to my home country, which is Brazil, by the way, and stayed there. I went to college there, and then I moved for work. A long time had gone by. I wanted the work, I wanted the job, but the move itself was scary. I lived in this other state, the state of Sao Paulo. I went from Rio to Sao Paulo. I lived there for 3 years by myself. Again, conquering the fear. What happens? How do you deal with it? And I was so stressed that I had headaches when I first moved, migraines, and I had to deal with that. And then the last, I would say, grand move was again by myself when I came to the States. I was 28 and I came to work. And again, here you can see my apartment. It didn't have much. My little car, I had to take a picture of the car to send to my mom. And the picture at the bottom is of the friends I made. And we can go back to that because that's one of the positive things that we don't think. It's the friends that we make. And we do make friends. So let's talk about the fear of the unknown. So if you're ready to do that, I want you to think of traveling and what outcomes you have when you're traveling. And right now, I want to open up and see if anybody wants to unmute themselves and just share with me some of the outcomes that come to mind when you think of a trip that you want to do, but there's a little bit of caution there. What comes up? Anybody?
So I'll just throw something out there. I recently went solo to Mongolia. And I was supposed to go to a way remote part of Western Mongolia. Now, ultimately didn't end up going because I had so many flight issues, but I would be lying if I said that I wasn't a little anxious to get out there and see what all was going on.
So when you think of the outcomes, when you think of going there, is there a thought that pops up in your mind when you think of, going to the Western Mongolia by yourself?
I think the main thing that had concerned me was just the sheer remoteness of it. There's just not cell signal readily available out there. So if anything should happen, it could be hours before you could get assistance. And it's not your typical trip. So I think that was one of the things. And two, I had flying out there would have been zero issue for me whatsoever. But to get out there overland was like a 20 to 24 hour bus ride or car, like ride share. And, all with people that I have never known, and it would be overnight and constant. And I was like, I don't know that I feel comfortable doing that. Like ultimately, just being on my own and doing an overnight thing with spotty cell signals. There's any number of things, like if it was maybe like two of the three things, okay, but everything just kept sort of adding up and I was very anxious about it. But I do think everything would have been fine.
That is so true. So there you go. There are thoughts. And what happens is they start piling up. Sometimes we can overcome one or two, but then the mind is working. The mind is trying to protect us. So the mind's job is to see everything that can go wrong. That's one of the reasons why we always think of what can go wrong, of the negative, and the fear comes because we're always trying to figure out what can go wrong. Oh, this is too dangerous. Maybe I shouldn't go. And then you tell your mind, no, it's going to be fine. And then you find something else. And then you find something else. And then it piles up. And so it's so many little things that you're like, okay, fine, I'm not going to try it. But here's the thing. We can overcome this. So here are some tips for you to overcome these little traps that the mind gets us to. First of all, realize that it's just a thought. And this is totally life coaching and it works. We do it when we do it, like Jordan was just saying, what happens is you look at the positive outcome and you're so used to it that you can overcome the negative ones, the negative thoughts. But how to get started when you're not trained that way? It's to distance yourself from those thoughts. Notice that that's not you. It sounds like you, but it's not you thinking, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be comfortable in this 24-hour bus ride. It's your mind with those thoughts saying, hey, you're not going to be comfortable. So just notice that it's not you. Just say to yourself, my mind is being my bodyguard again. My mind is here protecting me and coming up with all these reasons why that's not going to work. Why I shouldn't get on that plane, why that country, they don't speak my language, and all the horrible things. My mind is thinking. My mind is having this thought. And you can even go further. I'm noticing that my mind is having those thoughts. So again, you are noticing that your mind is having those thoughts. You're distancing yourself from the negative thoughts. So if you think about something, some fear. So when I started, I said, when you think of traveling, what is the outcome? So I imagine that some of you came up with the outcomes, those kind of negative feelings that come up, those fears that we have of going to some unknown place. Okay, try that now. Try and distance yourself from that thought. See if you notice that difference. How suddenly the thought is not immediate and it's not as strong. And the feeling that comes with the thought is not as strong. So, okay, so you already distance yourself from that thought. But how do we move forward? Well, what other outcomes are there? So, yes, it's a distance place in the middle of nowhere. It's going to take forever to get there. And the mind starts worrying about that. You distance yourself from that thought. Notice that that is just a thought. It's not a fact. You don't know what's going to happen. Now, what other outcomes could there be? Oh, it's going to be a beautiful place. Wow, it's going to be a sight that I've never seen before. I only see magazines and I so want to do that. The weather is going to be beautiful. The costumes, I want to try those foods that they have that I've never tried before. I'm going to actually see how it's made. I'm going to make new friends on that 24-hour bus trip. Yay. You know, I'm going to do things that challenge myself. I'm going to take some awesome pictures. Amazing. And I can share with the community. You know, I can say, I did it. How empowering is that? I can say, I did it. Hey, I went there. I did it. You know, so what other outcomes are there? Your mind doesn't think of the good possibilities. It only thinks of the negative. It's there just to protect you. So it's up to you to actually come up with other outcomes. So a lot of times we can come up with outcomes like, oh, it's going to be stinky hot. It's going to rain the whole time. You can come up with those outcomes, but which one is the most realistic one? So there's that too. So you can have all these ideas of all that's going to happen, but the most realistic one is usually not in the extreme. It's not what your mind is thinking, and it's not like the picture perfect magazine stuff. I saw somebody at the on Instagram, actually. It's probably somebody from the community because I follow a bunch of people here, and they were posting the picture in Greece, you know, a beautiful picture, and the reality to get that beautiful picture, a bunch of people waiting in line and all of that. So yeah, the reality, the most realistic outcome will probably be somewhere in the middle. So what if the unexpected happens? What if? So this is planning. This is just having a little bit of planning to know what to do. But this is probably not going to happen because it's not the most realistic one. But there's more. What is the worst that can happen? Let yourself go there, because your mind puts like the dreadful thoughts in your head. The feeling of fear is so strong, you really don't want to think about it. You don't contemplate what can happen. So go there. Allow yourself to feel it and think, what's the worst that can happen? Sometimes the worst that can happen is really not that bad. Have you tried it ever? Think of the worst that can happen. Okay. So now that you know how to distance yourself, how to find other options, I want to invite you to think of that. Let's make it happen. Imagine the future trip that you want to take. Imagine that feeling of fear that comes up. Let's challenge those thoughts. What thoughts come with that feeling? Put them away. With me, my mind is having this thought that this is going to happen, this is going to happen, that this is going to happen. Now, what other outcomes are there? What other things can happen in this trip? Because if you want it, it's because some wonderful things is waiting for you right there. So what are those outcomes? Write them down. Now think of some realistic stuff. So again, I would love to hear from you all. Anybody there felt the shift? Anybody there could see something else that they did not see before? Speak up. And you know why you're here. You're meant to be here. You're meant to learn this little tip here, and you're meant to share. I want to celebrate it with you. Anybody?
We can start calling on names.
Does this make sense to you all? Do you have any questions about this? So I'm assuming that this is all making sense, that you just don't want to share, or that you have not even thought of that trip then. So the negative thoughts didn't come up. So, okay, let's move forward then. So this is how you deal with fears. This is how you can overcome your fear of traveling. I'm not saying phobia, I'm saying fear of traveling, fear of the unknown. And we all have them. Trust me, we all have them because it's unknown. If it's unknown, the mind has to protect you. And it's okay. How do we get better with this? By doing it. There is no other way. So you do a little bit of at a time. You start planning to feel more secure. You start thinking of different outcomes. If a long trip, another country is too much, go to another state first. If planes are too much, take the bus, drive. So you start little by little. In the mind, the brain, it learns by repetition. So the more you do it, the more comfortable you feel. So that's how we start. So right now, let's design that trip, that journey that you want. So again, a little more about me. What do I know about designing a trip? I love planning trips. I love to travel. And I think that it started back when I moved, that I had to learn how to see the good outcomes of being at another country, living in another country for years, being away from my friends, from my school, from all that I knew, and just trusting the process. And I've been since then addicted to traveling. I love it. I really do. And I'm trying to bring it to my family. I'm lucky to have found a man that loves traveling as much as I do. So I do plan almost all of my family trips. And a big one was the 3 weeks in Italy with my kids. My husband did not want to go. So I said, you know what? After a few years trying to convince him, I'm going to do it. I don't need him. Actually, I want to do it. He doesn't want to do it. It's respectful to let him, do what he wants. And my daughter wanted to see Pisa, the Atlantic Tower. She, I don't know. I think she read it somewhere and she wanted to do it. And I wrote that down like, yeah, we're going to go to Pisa. I'll take you there. And my son wanted to see the Colosseum. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do that too. So I had them study a little bit about Italy. I would help them. And I started planning the trip where I wanted to go. First thing is put that map down, figure out the points where you want to see, do a little bit of research online, and then start planning. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to share with you how to plan a trip that a lot of times it seems overwhelming. Oh my gosh, a 3-week trip in Italy, just you and your kids. Yeah, it was wonderful. So wonderful. By the way, if you look at this picture, there's 2 pictures down at the bottom left here. One, we're at a winery and my husband is there. He's the one with the yellow shirt. And the other one, we're at this big table outside. This is an Airbnb that we stayed. No, it wasn't an Airbnb. It was a bed and breakfast. And it was the setting that I wanted, to eat outside in the middle of the vineyard and all of that. So yeah, and pretty much I got the stuff that I wanted to do. My kids did that too. And we even did a cooking class right here. So I did it. You can do it too. Let's see how we start designing the plan. So first, you got to think of really what you want. You can't design a trip without knowing what you want. So first things, where do you want to go? How do you like to travel? What kind of trip is it? Do you like to hike? Do you like cruise? Do you like getting to remote places? Do you like the beach? Are you one of those people that want to go to the beach? Oh, maybe you want to see historic cities. Whatever it is, know what makes you tick in relations to travel. Okay, any thoughts coming up as you think of that? Any saboteur thoughts? Pause, work on them. You already know how to do it, so you can do that. Just take your time, work on them. So here are some other things. What trips have you been on? Excuse me. What kind of trips have you been on? What trips did you enjoy? So what new things have you tried? Another thing, what have you accomplished this year? Take a little bit out of that to give you that confidence in creating your trip. Do you need more confidence? Are you lacking it? Is it not quite there? I have more questions for you here. This is how we set goals and write down the steps for a trip. What needs to happen for you to reach that goal? What needs to happen for you to take that trip? Think of those things that were blocking you, so you can tackle them. This is something that you can do with your life. So you can go and set these goals and the steps to tackle the responsibilities that you have, so that you can have the trip of your life, that travel that you want. So what needs to happen? Break those down into action steps. So for example, my trip to Italy, I got my son into a soccer camp a certain week. So what needs to happen? I need to plan the before the soccer camp, the after the soccer camp, and I need to find a place to stay while he's in that soccer camp. So break those down into little steps. So before, okay, I'm going to go to Rome and Florence. And then in Florence, I'm going to be able to visit these things. Break those down into even smaller steps. Where are you staying in Rome? How long are you staying in Rome? What do you want to visit? Okay, so now you have all your little details of the trip. What do you need done? Where are you going to stay? When do you need it done? By. Put a date beside it. Put a date, a due date. That's how you keep yourself from being overwhelmed. Break it down, little steps. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So break it down into little steps and put a date. Once I had my hotel secured, then I could figure out where I wanted to go, what I wanted to visit. First, I got the cities that I wanted to visit. Then I got where I'm going to stay. Then I pinpoint exactly, okay, we're going to do the Colosseum on this day. And then you do the research. What do you want to do there? What time do I have to go? What are the best ways to visit it? So you just go and break it down. Next part, so that was Rome. Florence, the same thing. What are the important things here? I wanted to go to Pisa for my daughter. Remember, she wanted to go to Pisa. So I needed to make that happen. So that came first. And then I figured out where I'm going to stay. And then from there, you start linking the pieces. And there's one thing that's very important. You got to write it down. You got to write it down, because just knowing what you want to do and keeping it in your head doesn't work. Write it down. Put the times, put the dates, put the phone number so you don't lose what you're looking at, or websites that you're looking at. Write it down. Okay, what is something that you haven't done yet but wanted to do? Think about it. Think about breaking it down. Now, if one of you want to speak up, we can work on that together and try and break it down together, because I'm here for you. I told you at the beginning, this is for you. These are tips for you to have that trip. So what is it that you want to do and don't know how to break it down? Anybody?
Gonna call on someone. Let's see. Hey, Barbie, are you willing to speak up?
Actually pretty good at breaking things down. I use an itinerary planner. The only thing I'm terrible at is packing, so.
Yeah.
That can be broken down too.
I was going to say that.
It absolutely
Yes.
can. It doesn't matter. I'm still terrible. But I use a planner, so everything gets written down, has a date, has.
I see that Lori put in the chat also that she makes an itinerary and breaks it down. Yeah, that is the way to travel, especially if it's a big trip, a long trip. Just break it down. I'll show it to you. I like the writing. Look at this. Look at this. This is the trip that I just came from. The funny thing, I have it all on my phone, but it's all, I do the dates. Look, I leave the spaces open and I really do and break it down. And if I have to get something by so-and-so date, I have my to-do, put it on the date. Yeah, it is intentional thinking. It totally is. It takes time to think it through. It does. But the thing is, if you are afraid of traveling, but you want to do that, the time will build the confidence, because just by doing the exercise of planning, goal setting, action steps, this will have you there. You are going to think of every step of the trip that you want to do. Therefore, you're going to build self-confidence to actually do it when the trip comes around. As you go and do your stuff, again, I'll pull this one up. Some of these are blank, right? My July 4th was just arrived in London. July 5th, I didn't have anything. July 6th, I didn't have anything. Why? I am so comfortable at that location and with what they have that I feel like I don't have to plan anything. I'll just go with the flow. So yes, Sarah, it takes time to do it, but after a while, you might not have to do it anymore. So that is the idea, is to go and move you forward on this trip that you want to do. So yeah, so here, let me close the chat here. Just want to recap that. Oh, there was one thing. Let me see if I go back. There we go. I want to underline this. Your life is in front of you. What are you willing to do to make it happen? What happened already happened. The past is gone, but you still have a lot of life in front of you. You can start this now. You can start working with your thoughts. You can start planning and breaking things down. Go back to the thought. When those negative thoughts happen, go back to that. Take that fear one step at a time. Deal with that and then break your plan down. And as things come up, go back to the thought. Takes time, but you know what? Whatever you're planning now will happen. If you don't start now, you're going to plan it way later, and it's only going to come true way later for you. So don't wait. So here is some of the stuff that is so important that I've learned that I do it. Set a travel goal. I do have my goals. I already have 3 more trips scheduled. Oh, sorry, 4. I have one in August. 4 more trips scheduled to the end of the year. Remember that your mind is only doing its job. Don't feel bad. Don't beat yourself up for having that fear, for being cautious, for not doing things that sometimes other people make it look so easy. It's not easy. They started a while ago. to be easy for them at this point. So thank you, mind, for doing its job. Notice it, acknowledge it. Thank you, mind. I know you're trying to protect me as if I were a 5-year-old child. Thank you very much. I'm noticing that you are having this thought. Find the options. Find the other options. There are always more options out there. Choose an option that works for you. Choose 2 options. This is probably what's going to happen. Those are the most realistic things. Think of those. Think of the one that you want to make happen. This is interesting about options. Upper answers here. When you have your options, let's say you come up with 5 different options. Let's say that these 2 are the most realistic ones. Okay, this is the really bad one that your mind put it in up in your brain there so that you don't go. These are the 2 most realistic ones. These are your dream options. Don't be afraid to look at these outcomes and dream of them and really look at them and be there and feel those outcomes. Because the more you do this work of thinking of these and feeling these, the more you act for these. And the chances are you're making that happen. Okay, so choose another option. Revisit the goals, design your plan, and break it down in small steps. And you are going to do it. So I'm Chris Drew. This is what I do. I explore values and strengths. I design visions and align with the values. So of course, a trip that you want to do, a trip that is aligned with your values, the type of trip that you want to do, I help the clients create a detailed strategy to achieve their goals. We talk about inner traps, limiting beliefs, understanding the emotions that are attached to the thought, build that resilience and confidence. You all can do it. Take small steps. You're going to notice the difference. And cultivate self-love. I know that my link is already on the chat, in the chat. So here it is. By any chance you want to talk about something that's very specific to you, I'll have a breakthrough call. You can just contact me, 30 minutes for free. And I want to thank you. And I leave you with an image of Inverness as I walked back from my dinner by myself, as happy as I could be, creating courses to empower women. So that's it.
Thank you, Chris. I'm actually going to open the floor now to, let's see, questions that folks might have specifically about making those travel goals happen. Does anyone have any questions so far with Chris's presentation? Sorry, I'm trying to pull my chat open and have my deck open at the same time. Let's see. So I'm interested to hear from everyone where the biggest adventure place that you have on your docket is. If everyone could put it in the chat, I'm really interested to hear about this. For me, I think there's probably Antarctica somewhere in there. I'd like to do overland Namibia, but that's just me. And I just got back from Mongolia as well. And in many ways, all of those destinations make me a little bit nervous. Italy. Africa safari, Patagonia, Turkey and Egypt, South America. Has everyone seen as well? I'm so jealous of that, Rowie. I really want to do the Antarctica trip as well. Just a heads up also that Wonderful actually has a female travel solo, like a whole toolkit that Beth had put together, if anyone is interested in taking a look at that. It is in the member portal. Unfortunately, I cannot think off the top of my head what the exact address is, but it pops up every now and then, and it's more than likely in the resources in the menu as well. So what kinds of concerns do folks have about going to some of these locations? Are you going solo? Are you going with a group? Anyone want to unmute and speak up?
I will. I have no problem traveling by myself. Actually, when I was 20, I took a trip around the world by myself in 1966. But I just returned from South Africa and Zambia for 2 months I was there and I did some volunteer work and then I went on safari. But as far as Buenos Aires, I've been there before many, many years ago. And I have booked a hotel in the beginning for a couple more days and days after the cruise. So what I've done is I've looked on the internet and there's the Buenos Aires free walks. And I've listed all the free walks that they offer. I've listed the days that they do it and the hours they do it and that the meeting point. And I already have my hotel booked through booking.com. And I have to call them as it gets a little bit closer to find out if a single person can still do some of these tours, because a lot of times they want 2 people.
Mhm.
And sometimes that's just a problem, but I'm really looking forward to going back to Buenos Aires and going to Antarctica. And I'm also going, Pam McFadden is going to be my roommate. So it's nice when you have somebody that you know that you're sharing. But there's so many good benefits for traveling alone. And I'm grateful for some of your suggestions. And I do try and figure out ahead of time. Well, you have to figure out ahead of time, you know, what your plane lands. Are you arriving at a certain time? Do you need to arrange for transportation? What about your hotel? So it's great. It's more fun, I think, to try to just plan it. But you need time to do it, and you need time without interruption to think about it, because you have to remember the time zones also. But it's just a really great thing. The world is so beautiful. There's no reason why we can't do it. We don't have to be with somebody to enjoy a sunset. And you talk
Absolutely.
about the most gorgeous sunsets you will ever find is in Africa. Just gorgeous. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, but I just wanted to say there's absolutely no reason why anybody can't go out and do it, because you don't want your life to be empty dreams. My goodness, this life is too precious. So anyway.
Well, you're going to have a wild time with Pam as your roommate. She's one of my favorite people, and she is a crazy lady, and she's in the best way possible, by the way. I really like.
Yeah, I just love that Romy said all that. And I was reminded of something, the friendships that you make when you travel by yourself, right? Because when I said the friends that I made in Dallas when I moved to the US, some of them go with you, keep on, being your friends forever. And some friends that you make by yourself when you're on a trip, and people are so welcoming, right? What do you think of that?
Also, I did want to say, though, that I connected with the president of the Johannesburg chapter of Wonderful, and we met a couple of times. She is so nice, and she really wants to invite everybody to come, because it's such a wonderful country. But it's wonderful that there are connections within Wonderful, that you can make these relationships. It's fabulous.
Absolutely agreed. I love this community too. Well, obviously, because I'm the membership director for it and the DC chapter director, but I'm all about it, and definitely connecting, with folks as much as possible. I've met people in my travels, like just on a wild night out, that I've kept in touch with and then have crossed paths with somewhere else in the world again. And to me, that's one of the funnest parts of traveling too. I mean, obviously seeing all the things and experiencing the things, but it really is fun meeting people on the road too.
Definitely. Even like I just got a text from a German girl that I met on this trip while I was by myself. And the other thing is, I don't know, I didn't tackle the actually moving to another country. And I did that. And I wonder if anybody had any questions about that. but the idea is pretty much the same. And because if you can travel, you can move. You just, as Rami said, well, it's going to take a little longer even because you got to do more research, like actually where to live, know the country, but we have so many resources. The thing that I want you to know is that you can do it. And I did it twice. So it is doable. You can do it. Don't let those thoughts keep you stuck.
So this is Tiffany. I actually did have a question about you moving to another country. I was curious as to, what the transition was like, especially without having like any family or friends, and maybe if they didn't speak your language in that country.
Yeah. So when I moved to Europe, I was a child, and I know that my mom, she actually had private lessons to be able to speak the language. Most of the countries, they speak English. You can go, or I won't say most of the country. Though there are some countries that don't, but usually you can find people that speak English. In foreign countries, English is spoken worldwide, so that makes it a little easier. The transition is interesting. So let me just give you an idea of what is involved with the transition. The transition is pretty much you're closing this door and opening this door, and there's a hallway in between. So you're letting go of something in order to gain something else. And in this hallway, what happens is you're learning how to do that. You're going through that grief of letting this go and the excitement of doing this. So the thinking process that I just shared with you about look at the outcomes, distance yourself from those thoughts, those negative thoughts, serves for this too. Because what you want to do is you want to see the bright things here that you want. You don't want this to be negative, because otherwise you won't want to experience it. You want to see the bright things here. What do you want? What is the exciting things? What is in this room that is getting you to move? And know that this grief that you're letting this go, it's part of life. It's not weird. Get the support that you need. Talk to family every day. When I went to Sao Paulo, I told you I had the headaches. Yes, I had the headaches. The first, my luck was that it was close enough, but the first week that I was there all by myself, and I moved in with this girl, stayed with some family, and then I moved in with this girl, and I was so nervous, so nervous. I woke up with a pounding headache. My head felt like it was this size. I called home, spoke to my dad for 1 hour, and then he said, well, come visit this weekend. I realized that as I was at the airport, my headache was gone. So I didn't really have to go visit him. I just needed that comfort. So do that. We have support groups for that. Go to a coach, go to a therapist. It's okay. We all need it. Why are you doing it by yourself? We have others. We're here to help. Talk to the community. Go to Wonderland. Oh, yes. Go to Wonderful. Exactly. We're here to talk to the community. You're going to make friends. So talk to them. The friends that you're going to make are probably going to be in similar situation. Make friends with them, talk to them, see what helped them. So just know that this will pass, and that your feeling is the grief, but it's okay. That's part of life. Be kind to yourself as you would to your best friend who's moving. So that way you have the support from you to you. And know that what you're losing, you're never really losing, because what happened is the heart expands. And I'll tell you that my tattoo that I want to do, the next one, is putting in me, all the places that are part of me because I moved there. So your heart grows. It's like you become a mother. Your heart grows, and every place that you move to becomes a little part of you. You live a little part of you there. So every place that you go, I just went back to London, and I lived there too. I went to Netherlands and then London. Feels a little bit like home, you know? So know that although you're feeling this grief, it's okay. It's part of life. We all transition, we all change, but that will stay with you. You're never going to let whatever is gone really be gone. So as you know that, just be kind and look at the good stuff here that you want. So that is my tip in this little moment, this 2 minutes, to help you with moving to another country, and use the sport.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys. And I want to make sure, because I know some folks are at work, I do want to make sure that I can pass this link along. I put it in the chat. It is a SurveyMonkey link to receive a fear ladder exercise and goal setting worksheet from Christiane. So would really appreciate if everyone could take a look, sign up there, and take a moment to complete her survey.
Yeah, just click on the link and do the survey a little later after your meetings and all of that. I would love to hear what you liked about this, so that you know, I can make it even better next time an opportunity like this comes up to help people with travel and moves.
And a huge thank you to Chris, and thank you to everyone for joining us. And we absolutely hope to see you around in the member portal, and definitely feel free to throw comments on the event post in Wonderful if any additional questions pop up. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.